This segment is brought to you by Jig Masters. Step up your game with high-quality performance jigs, spinner baits, buzz baits, and more from jigmasters.com. And always, when in doubt, get the jig out.
Welcome to the B.A.S. Kayak and B.A.S. segment on the Paddle and Fin Network. It's your host Armando Sola, and on this segment we kick back with a special guest and talk about life, kayak fishing, and the pursuit of big bass. So get your cold brews on and enjoy the show. Welcome once again to the B.A.S. Kayak and Beer segment on the Paddle and Fin Network, presented by Douglas Rods. Go to douglasoutdoors.com to check out the full lineup of LRS rod, X-Matrix rods, and the award-winning fly fishing rod. I always have a problem saying X-Matrix. I don't know why. But anyways, go check them out, douglasoutdoors.com. Great rods. So today I have a special guest as always, and I'm pretty excited about my guest today. His name is Josh Sharp. And he just comes fresh from winning the Bass Nation in Tennessee. Josh, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
Pretty good, man. Super stoked to have you on the show. Thank you for, joining us and talking a little bit of kayak fishing and all that.
Thanks for having me, man. It was good. I've actually got a tournament coming up this weekend for one of our local clubs. So did a little pre-fishing this week with a buddy. So looking forward to the weekend Saturday to do a little bit more tournament fishing. This one's going to be a challenge. So,
so how did it feel to win the Bass Nation Tennessee?
It was amazing. I knew we were going to catch fish. I knew we would do all right. We did a little bit of pre-fishing and found them, but somehow I just happened to manage to find like two good kickers, two good quality fish, and that's kind of when I knew that like I was going to do good. And ended up winning it, man. It was like amazing feeling. Plus, I got a pretty good little paycheck out of it too. A lot more than I'm used to little club events. So yeah, that was amazing right there.
Kind of helps out, the tension with the wife when, you at least bring in some money in it. It's not just all you're not bleeding out your savings account with all the tackle and kayak.
You don't want to tell her on the phone. You just wait till you get home and you're just like, look at this. And you're like, what? You're like, yeah, I did that.
Awesome, man. So Josh, before we get into how you won the tournament and all the techniques and going through everything on game day there, tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Well, I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee here. Amazing place for fishing. We're absolutely surrounded by lakes and rivers and stuff. And that's one, first getting into fishing, it was the river. I stayed on that river, lots of good smallmouth fishing. And what got me kind of into fishing is like when my mom passed away there, and it was just kind of a way to escape that. I've got kids and stuff at home, but being able to get on that river and just fish and learning new things and just kind of helped me escape, that little bit of, deal I was going there for a while. That's really kind of what got me into kayak fishing and just getting out there and kind of, escaping from all that. So
did this win on the Bass Nation Tennessee somehow, makes you feel closer to your mom? Was there any emotional ties between you, winning the Bass Nation Tennessee
It's one of those things you wish you could call her and tell her, because you call your friends and, you tell your wife, and like after my grandparents and stuff, I called them and told them they were pretty excited about it. So yeah, it just it's kind of lame you can't call her and let her know, because it would be one of those things, you'd call somebody like that, your mom, and tell them everything that happened. So yeah, that was just one thing that wasn't as fun about the tournament. Other than that, it was amazing, but it was one thing I wanted to do was go to call her and say, hey, I won this big event. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I can see how that could be like an emotional moment right there when you win that, and then you kind of go back to one of the roots where you got into kayak fishing.
Yeah.
So how long ago did you get into kayak bass fishing?
It's probably been about 2 years now. I think 2020, like the early beginning of the year, is when I very first started like competing in the tournaments and stuff. So 21 right now will be like starting my second year competing. I started fishing our Tin Cat, which is one of our local trails. I had a buddy messaged me because I was already doing little YouTube videos and things like that, fishing out of our jet boat. We did a few jet boat tournaments, and I had a buddy who was like, man, you're doing pretty good on that river. You ought to sign up for these online tournaments, these monthly onlines. And did a little research into it, looking into it, and signed up for one day, and it ran for the month. So you can like go out and fish whenever you want to, and end up winning I think 5 of those in a row. And
really? Wow.
Yeah. And then finally signed up for one of our meetups, and then won our first meetup tournament. And yeah, like I said, that it just went from there. So I've fished a lot of local. I haven't did anything like really on the national level yet. So the Tennessee Bass Nation is my biggest event, but I did qualify for the Tennessee Bass Nation state championship on Lake Chickamauga. I qualified for that, and then I fished the state championship for I guess it was it's through Bass Nation, the Tennessee Bass State Championship, and that qualified for me the championship in Texas, the Bass Nation.
Oh yeah, the
Texas.
Classic.
Oh,
I don't know if they call it. I think it's a Bass Classic.
So I've qualified myself for some pretty big tournaments, just starting out in 2020.
So did you start when you say you started like in 2020 kayak fishing? Were you bass fishing before that? Did you come from this long line of bass fishing experience throughout the years?
Mm-mm. Never. I did a little bit of fishing like out of a pond. My grandparents owned 40 acres, and we had a little pond. It's about maybe a half an acre big, and a lot of bluegill. We had catfish in it and some largemouth bass. And yeah, just as a kid, my granddad we had fishing rods. He'd give us a fishing rod. We'd have bobbers and worms. And then I remember having some like little topwater poppers and stuff like that I never had anybody teach me. I don't even think he ever taught me, like here, I got these little lures, and I just kind of figured out how to do them myself. But I remember catching bass on topwater and stuff. And then I was probably 6 years old. And then after that, I never fished, I don't think again, maybe a little bit of catfishing until, like literally about 2 years ago.
Wow. That's pretty, I'm sorry, go ahead. I interrupted there.
Once I got into like the kayaks and stuff is when I, started fishing again. I just had a little sit-in 10-foot kayak, and it was like plastic seat, not stable, had a little milk crate on the back of it. Probably, I guess I watched a few YouTube videos or something, and then that's kind of how it transform into what it is now. So
wow, let me tell you something. That's pretty impressive, especially when you were talking about Tennessee, which has a long history of bass fishermen.
Yeah,
it's not like other areas where bass fishing is just kind of like not in the infancies, but not that long tradition of bass fishing that there is in the South. And Tennessee is definitely one of the premier bass fishing destinations in the U.S. So for you to, on this small sample size, be able to go up against some of the best in Tennessee, that's pretty impressive. Do you see it that way, or how do you feel about that win? Was it something that you thought, okay, I'm definitely gonna win? Were you confident, or was there something just like, we'll see what happens?
Well, I wouldn't say I thought I was exactly going to win it, but we did find fish pre-fishing. We went out there and pre-fished and found some fish, nothing of like size. I think my biggest one was probably 14 or 15 inches. And going into tournament day, we knew where to go. We knew what we were going to do. We had like almost a 2-mile paddle back, and I'm fishing out of a BONAFIDE. So I'm actually paddling, against the wind. You've got guys in Hobies and stuff like that. And took us 45 minutes, I think it was, around there to paddle back to where we started. And yeah, I knew what I was going to throw. I was throwing like a Fritz-sided crankbait, and then I was throwing a little Kayak, and I stuck with those 2 baits all day long. And the plan was to go to the very back of this cove where they had bait fish like pushed back up in there. And when we came back the very next week for the actual tournament, the water had dropped, probably 4 or 5 feet. And I've seen that on my graph, like this water's way low, made some casts at nothing. So I worked my way back out towards stayed in the same cove. It was like 2 miles long, like this big, long, like cove. And I was fishing some rock bluff there that was about anywhere between like 12 and 20 foot deep. And I ended up working my way back out to like the deeper section headed towards the main channel. And I literally worked like probably a 200-yard stretch back and forth all day long, just switching up between that Fritz side and that Kayak, and end up getting 2 nice kickers, a 19 and a quarter or 19 and a half inch largemouth, and then a 19 and a 0.75 smallie. So
Nice. What was your total bag?
86 inches.
86 inches. It's not bad at all.
Yeah, it wasn't horrible.
No, not at all. What was the second place at?
78.
Oh, wow.
78.5, yeah. And I didn't realize that before I caught that last smallmouth, that 19.75-inch smallmouth, I had 79 inches. So without that smallmouth, I think I still would have pulled off the win even without that big smallie. So the crazy thing is I hooked into a big fish and I lost it. And yeah, I lost a big fish. And at this time, I know there's some good anglers in this tournament. And I was nervous. I was like, oh, man, I know we're doing pretty good. I hooked into a big fish right at the end of the day and lost it. Fished for about another 10 minutes and ran into another angler. And I was telling him about it. I was like, man, I just lost a really nice fish, possibly the winning fish. He got about 20 yards down past me, made a cast back into that same exact spot with the Kayak, felt a little boop, set the hook, and then it was that 19.75-inch smallie. So I think it might have been the same smallmouth. So possibly. I'll never know, but I think it was.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, but still, you got what you needed.
Yeah,
essentially.
Yep.
Man, so how did it feel to get that win? When you look back at it now and you realize, man, I'm going against some hammers that have been doing this for years, and you just basically started. How does it feel for you?
It felt amazing. It felt like I finally the working hard kind of paid off there with a win like that. And I know it's the kayak, world is much bigger than that little TN Bass Nation event. But for me, that was a very big win. I mean, you got Russ Snyder's and those guys that are amazing. Actually, Russ Snyder's is from Tennessee, and he fished one of the onlines. I caught a 9-pound largemouth, 24 points, pretty much 25 inches, and still took second place behind Russ Snyder's. He had 107 inches behind him. He's he's probably arguably the best angler in the country from a kayak. So, but he's from Tennessee too. So luckily he didn't show up for that tournament. But I know there was a guy too from Kentucky too that came over and fished that event. I think his name was Jay Waller. He might have been on one of your all's podcasts the other day, and he's had a lot of experience too. So it was a good win. It felt amazing. Really good.
Yeah, because that's the thing about Tennessee. You're in the heartland. So you get not just the Tennessee anglers. You get people from everywhere coming in that are close by, great bass states, Alabama, Kentucky. There's so many out there that are so close to where you are that they'll eventually come to those bass, especially because it's Bass Nation.
Yeah, so we just had that big Hobie B.O.S. event here too about a month ago. It was $30,000 for first place. I forget what it was. It was the Tournament of Champions, I believe, the Hobie B.O.S. Yeah. That was right here on the rivers we fish all the time. So that was, there's definitely some really good fishermen here in Tennessee. A lot of local guys that are amazing. So I think that's better fishing against those guys, these local guys. That's made me better having to compete against them. So
no, that's pretty cool. Do you feel like you had any home court advantage? Not really. Well, you can't really say home court advantage because you got a lot of people from Tennessee also fishing as well. But do you credit your win maybe in part to because where you fish you're very familiar with, or this is a place you don't fish that often? Yeah,
that's funny because we actually always talked about hating this lake. I've probably been on Cherokee, which is about a 35-minute drive from the house, but I've probably been on that lake 7 times, and I think I've probably had 2 good days on it, and that just happened to be one of those good days. I don't even know how it happened. Like I said, it was so unexpected. I think that's what made the win feel so much better was the fact that we've had many conversations. Me and my cousin fish together all the time, and we were like, I'm not going back to that lake no more. After we go up there and try to fish it, I'm not going back there no more. Skunking, not catching no fish, and then go out there in a tournament with. I fished 2 tournaments at the same time that day. I fished the Tennessee Bass Nation. And then there was a smaller local club, NETKA, the Northeast Tennessee Kayak Anglers. So I signed up for both of those at the same time. And I don't know. It just blew my mind that I actually won it on a lake that I've always kind of struggled on. That like I said, 7 or 8 times I've been up there. So it made it feel that much better.
So was the smaller club tournament that was live too, or is it one of those things where you can pick where you want to fish?
No, it was live too. Yeah, they did it at the same time. It was like a joint they did it so the guys in their club could fish the Tennessee Bass Nation event at the same time. And I ended up winning both. If you won the Bass Nation, you were going to win the smaller club too. So won both of those and got big fish for both. So like I said, I came home with the most I've ever won from a kayak tournament on both those little tournaments there. So
that's awesome, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I like your story more than anything, because I think for a lot of people that are just getting into kayak fishing, it's gonna be a motivational factor. I mean, to me, it takes so long to kind of like get good at kayak fishing for bass, especially when you're talking about a tournament, and going really out there to Bass Nation event and winning it, where you just have 2 years or maybe less of experience. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, probably just barely over a full year of actual competing experience, So, but I said, I'd fished a little bit before that, that year before. So that's why I say 2 years that I actually didn't compete at all. Just fished from the kayak, and we literally, like I said, I film YouTube videos and go out and just have fun and just film every little video. And when I go back and watch those, I'm like, oh my goodness, like I've learned so much and did not know what I was doing back then at all. Everything was like a Texas rig. That's all I knew. Texas rig. Throw it out.
I bet you watch a lot of Fluke Master, because that's how I got it, doing Texas rig.
I watch a little bit of everybody. I like just watching guys like me and other, guys like you that just get on YouTube and just fit, just normal guys. I love watching that type of stuff.
What do you credit your success so quick? Mastering. I don't know if mastering is a strong word. Your craft better than me, but how would you describe your talent as far as kayak fishing? Would you say you're a master, still a novice?
I'd say I'm a novice at it. I mean, compared to a lot of these guys, I'm a novice, but I'm getting better. I feel weird. I don't know. I always feel weird bringing this up, but I used to box. I boxed for like probably 11 years, and you have to work hard boxing. You got to work hard, dedication. You got to, eat well, train hard, and just keep your mind focused. I think I've brought that over into fishing, where I won a tournament. I'm coming off another win from the TN Bass Nation and the NETK. I just won our local club up on a lake, Chilhowie Lake, and I actually submitted my last fish with 56 seconds on the left before line's out. Like I'm panicking, trying to get this fish submitted. Yeah. But I remember seeing guys leaving the ramp an hour early, just defeated, just gave up, and I didn't. And I think that I bring that from doing, all those years of boxing, digging deep, working hard, sticking it out to the last second. And that's what I did on Chilhowie. I ended up winning that one. I remember looking at my clock, 3 minutes left. It got me wrapped around a log. I had to pull the log up out of the water with my string, took the fish off, slapped that thing on my board, and was like, pick, took a mile. And then it was like literally 56 seconds left. And the tournament director was like, man, you submitted that fish with 56 seconds left. And I would not have won the tournament without that fish. So, but that's I think that's where I've kind of maybe succeeded in doing a little bit better in the tournaments, is that just that mentality, working hard, and just till the last second, you don't give up. So.
Yeah, I think the mental aspect of it, the mental game, is something that's underrated. A lot of people don't realize that it is definitely a factor when it comes to kayak fishing. And whether it's recreational or competitive, if you kayak bass fishing, the mental aspect really plays a big part in your success or your downfall. Now, granted, there's days that you're gonna, no matter how strong mentally and psychologically you are, you're going to get skunked. Yeah. But overall, as far as your growth in the sport and getting better, I think the mental aspect's underrated,
Yeah.
What would you credit your success to got you where you are now in such a quick fashion?
Just hard work, staying after it. I fish as every chance I get. I'm out there fishing. Like I've got a lot of buddies that, I can't go fishing today, or I can't do this. I'll get off work and go fishing, or I'll go fishing for a few hours and then go to work. I've got a little lawn care business. So during the summer, I make my own schedule. I can go out and get, I can go out and get what I need to get done, and then I can go fishing. And then really in the wintertime, I don't work that much at all. You can't mow grass in Tennessee, in the summer. So I do a lot of fishing during the winter. And that's probably helped me out a lot too, where guys are having to still, they're going to their regular job. I fish just a little bit more than I normally do through the wintertime. And I catch a lot of my bigger fish during the wintertime too. So
yeah, I have the same situation, man. It's crazy because when I got into kayak fishing, everybody said, winter, sucks. A lot of my buddies that do fishing, they don't bother going fishing on winter, but I've found more success in winter than I usually do. Well, not necessarily post-spawn or pre-spawn, but a lot more success than in summer, mainly because it's Texas. This is not upstate New York where summer is nice, and cool. In Texas, I'm sure Tennessee is similar to that. It's 100-degree weather.
Yeah, we get some cold weather down here though. Like last weekend during the weekend before during the Tennessee Bass Nation, I almost went to my truck. My feet were so cold. I had on wool socks, and I had that thought in my mind, like, I'm gonna go sit in the truck. And I didn't. I just kept fishing. But it was like a high of 36 or 37 degrees this past weekend. But I was bundled up with, toboggans, face, gloves, and everything. And I was still cold.
Yeah, man.
But I just pushed through it though. I just head down and just cast constantly, running that crankbait down through there, just grinding, and it paid off. So,
what has been the factor that you feel like you've grown the most? Like, is it a specific technique? Is it a mental approach? Is it a product that you bought? What is it? What do you feel is like the one thing that's separating you from where you are now to what you were when you started, other than the mental aspect of it?
I don't really know. That's hard. That's a kind of a tricky question. I just feel like I've just got better in a whole as an angler. Just being in the tournaments, talking to other anglers, getting into kayak fishing. So I've watched more kayak fishing videos and more tournament videos and just learning from that. I've gotten better at a little bit more power fishing, cranking and figuring out when to throw this, when to throw a spinner bait, when to throw a crankbait, where the fish are, during the wintertime on the river and stuff like that. Just it's kind of been a little bit of everything that I've learned, not necessarily one thing. I just feel like I've just gotten better at fishing, especially compared to what I was. I've gotten better. I know there's a lot of really, really good anglers out there, guys that's got, like you saying, big backgrounds, as kids fishing with their dad and grandparents and stuff. I didn't have that, but from where I was 2 years ago, I've definitely gotten a lot better. Just constantly trying to just absorb everything and learn. So, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a good mixture of time on the water and using the resources like YouTube and social media to kind of like, put the pieces of the puzzle together. Would you agree?
Yes, 100%. Yep. Just trying to learn. Yeah, just trying to absorb it all and learn is pretty much what I do. So listen to other guys people that I know that are more experienced. Some of the guys that have been fishing the local club, for the last 4, 5, 6 years. Just listen to them, just letting them tell me, how they do this, or, just listening to people,
What are some of the resources that you go to learn? You mentioned YouTube. Is there a specific channel that you watch? Is there like a specific program that you subscribe to, like Bass University? What do you get? Where do you feel that you get the most valuable information?
Well, going out there myself and fishing is probably the number one thing, but I would definitely have to say YouTube. I feel like, have you not ever done anything that you don't really know how to do it? You get on YouTube and type it up.
Yeah.
I built a retaining wall, landscaping, and like literally YouTubed like some of like videos how to actually do it. So definitely YouTube. I like watching Greg Blanchard, Alex Rudd. I like listening to Alex. Was really smart, and he's a school teacher, so he can really like go into depth and explain things really good. So that helps. And just a lot of people like that. I like a little guy named SB Fishing TV. I like watching him. He used to fish a bunch of little John boat tournaments and stuff like that. I liked watching him. Christine Fisher, she's obviously really good at kayak fishing and stuff. Just a little bit of everybody. I don't have like a particular favorite channel. I catch myself going through clicking on random people, 300 subscribers or 5, people that aren't big, giant YouTube channels. I watch a little bit of everybody. So people like myself, smaller channels.
That's pretty cool. Christine Fisher, yeah, definitely one of my favorite segments that she does is when she does a breakdown of a tournament she just competed. I think that's a lot of knowledge right there. And Greg Blanchard also, I love what he does on his social media and his YouTube.
Yeah, Greg is probably one of my favorite kayak channels for sure.
Now you have your own YouTube channel. Tell us a little bit about that. It's Bass and Beers, right?
Yep, Bass and Beer. Well, just going from what people's messaged me or commented, like, man, I really enjoy your channel because you're not trying to do anything super fancy. You just go out, you're yourself, you fish. That's what we do. We let the cameras roll the entire time. I talk to the camera like I'm talking to people watching it, but like we just record everything. We go out, we have fun, we're ourselves. It's just fishing. I feel like it's just real fishing, and I feel like people's kind of got to watch me advance. Like a lot of the people that's been watching it since I first started fishing, a lot of those people are still watching me now after winning tournaments and stuff, and they've kind of watched me get better. Kind of a little trial and error thing, do things that some people are probably laughing at me like, why is he throwing that for? Stuff like that. People's got to kind of watch me just grow as an angler, through the YouTube channel. So
does the negativity ever get to you? Do you get a lot of like haters and negative comments on it?
I had a couple of people, like a couple guys that did that for a little while. Like I'd always get 2 thumbs down on like videos too.
I know.
It's like the same guys, because I ran into some people locally at a pond and stuff, and they was like, man, there's these 2 guys going around talking about you. They're saying bad things like, oh, that dude. People get mad for some reason when you film. Maybe they were mad because I was filming at their little honey hole at this little pond or something they fish all the time. But they were definitely saying bad things. And I put 2 and 2 together. There's always 2 dislikes. Just 2 of them every time. But I guess I've gotten a little better now and won some tournaments, and just it's kind of turned into a little more than what I thought it would. I mean, my channel's not a big channel, but it has turned into more than what I thought it would be. And there's really not many people that really dislike. I try to be nice and just a humble person and try to be friends with everybody. I want to learn. Can I learn from you? Can maybe the little bit that I know, can you learn from me? We're all having fun fishing, so.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Just being able to have your own YouTube channel and kind of share it with other people. And I know there is always some, negativity out there, and some people that want to make their 2 cents in critique. And I guess that's fine. Some of it is, it's okay if you want to, get better. But then again, some of it just kind of turns into hatred, and I think go down that rabbit hole.
No matter what you do, you're going to have those people. No matter. I don't think there's a single successful person or at anything that hasn't had those people that hate on them. They just don't want to. Some people just can't stand it, So whatever.
I always have the mentality. Listen, on my YouTube channel, like I only had my past podcasts, and I've gone back and forth. I want to record and put stuff out in my YouTube channel. The one thing that I always go back to is like, listen, if I ever get haters, that means they're watching. Mm-hmm. Like when you look at it. Like nobody hates the Cleveland Browns. No offense to anybody that's from Cleveland or Browns fans that are listening, but nobody hates the Cleveland Browns because they haven't won anything. Now everybody hates the Patriots. Everybody that's not from New England hates the Patriots because they used to be, or they hate Tom Brady because he wins a lot. So the more haters you get, to me, is like, hey, that's proof that you're making it out there. That's the way I see it. Man.
That's what I told my cousin. I was like, they're still watching it.
Yeah. If they hate you, it's because you're being successful, you're doing something right. So that's the way I see it.
Luckily, it's more on the good side of things, especially these days. I have a lot more people that it's usually good comments, nothing really bad. So
that's good, man. Hope you keep growing that channel, man, and look forward to seeing more videos on it.
Hopefully so, man. I'm just gonna keep doing it. Like I said earlier, like we're going to do it, whether it grows, whether it don't. We enjoy it. We're having fun, and it may not. You've got some of these channels that are like so fancy. I've got a nice camera and some nice little gear. We go out, but it's real. It's us right there. You get to see us just fishing, talking, being ourselves. Nothing crazy, fancy. And if it grows, it grows, and hopefully it does grow. But we're just going to keep doing our thing, having fun, keep putting them out, and we can always go back 10 years. Like we actually, before I got on here, we sat at my cousin for an hour watching all of our old videos from like a year ago, and we were sitting here cracking up watching those things. So we'll always have that, to go back and watch these things
and create memories.
Exactly.
Yeah, sometimes it's intimidating when you start looking at other videos that have this very organized, very like professional camera work and professional editing. And yeah, I get it. It's kind of intimidating when you look at that. It's like, man, that takes a lot of money to make something like that. But when you're true to yourself and you're doing it because you love it, and you're doing it because you want to share it, not necessarily because you want to be famous, you just want to share your passion, then I think that comes out. Your personality is going to come out and people are going to enjoy it. There's people that are not going to enjoy it, and that's fine. It may not be this big production that's going to get millions of followers, but it'll still be a few thousand people that are going to enjoy it at least.
I believe people pick up on that. When you're having fun, they pick up on that. So
it's pretty cool, man. So what was it, going back full circle to you winning the tournament? What was you kind of mentioned the crankbait, but really what was the bait that stood out for you that you think you credited this win more than anything?
The Kayak, for sure. That got more bites. We at the very end of the day during practice, we caught maybe three in a row, back to back to back. I caught on that little Kayak. And so going into the tournament, I knew I was going to throw that little Kayak and I was going to throw that Fritz-sided crankbait. And I started out with the crankbait early because I knew I could cover water with it. I could throw it down those rocks, make long parallel casts, and just burn that thing back and just cast it. Caught a few little ones, and then I ended up catching like a 19.5-inch largemouth on the Fritz side. And what I was doing is like I would be in anywhere between like 7 and 12 foot of water down these rocks. And that's where I would throw the Fritz-sided crankbait in that little bit shallower water. And then at the end of those rocks, it would drop off to about 20. And it would be 20 foot deep for about 20 or 30 yards. And then that's where I would throw the Kayak, because it would get down there just a little bit slower and a little bit deeper. So when I got in that deeper water is when I'd throw that Kayak, almost like tight line, and I'd throw it out, as far as I could, and I'd let it sink, and I'd just kind of lift the tip of my rod and just let it fall back towards me. And I'd feel those fish like every time, just pop it, boop. And then as I'd get back to shallower water, then I'd pick up the crankbait, just crank it down through there, and I'd catch a couple fish like that. So all day I worked this little 2-mile stretch back and forth on these rocks, like I said, from 7 to 12 foot deep, and then it would drop down to like 20 for a little while, and I'd switch in between those two baits. But the most fish came off that Kayak, though. Yeah, there's just something about it. They love that little thing.
How much fish did you catch in total? I know the limit was 5, right? But how many did you catch total?
And I probably caught about, I think it was around like 14.
Wow, that's
14.
pretty cool.
You know what? It wasn't like a crazy day. You could, 30 or something, but it was it was even better than practice. And the fact that I caught those two nice ones, the two kickers there, was pretty amazing. Those two over 19 inches. So.
Cool, man. Congratulations on that big win, man. You earned it.
Yep.
So what are you looking forward to for the next two events, the state championship in Tennessee and the Bass Master Classic in Louisville Lake, Texas?
Well, right now I'm focused on our little local trail, the 10 cat deal. A lot of these guys are gunning for that Angler of the Year, the AOI for that. We give away some cool prizes and stuff for Angler of the Year and cool trophies. So I'm definitely gunning for that, and I've already got a win, so I've got 100 points on that. So I've got 4 more events, I need to do good on for the rest of the year. But I'm definitely looking forward to the Tennessee Bass Nation Championship on Chickamauga. Me and 2, maybe 3 of my buddies qualified for that tournament, so we're all going to go down there and stay in a little hotel. It's not far from our house; it's about an hour and a half or so away.
Oh, it's not bad at all.
Yeah, but to kind of prevent from having to wake up at like 3 in the morning and driving down there, we just go down there and stay in a hotel, the night before, sit around the room, we'd rather, rent like 2 or 3 rooms. We'll all hang out in one room and just tile and tackle and hang out, talk fishing and stuff. And then we can just get up and be close to the, where we're fishing out like that. So I'm looking forward to that because it's just fun hanging out with the guys going in there fishing, and it's pretty close. Now, Texas, that's I've never went that far, for a tournament or anything like that. So I'm kind of nervous about it. I don't know really where to go, where to stay, but I was actually just thinking about maybe renting that time of the year. I was thinking about just renting like a little campsite, maybe with like a little outdoor bathroom and a shower or something, just going down there in the truck, maybe taking a tent and some, food and stuff, and just like maybe staying at like a little campsite that's got like power or something where I could charge my phone, charge my cameras, but be able to take a shower and have a restroom and stuff there too. I think maybe that might be the cheapest way for me to do something like that, So
definitely the cheapest way.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Lake Louisville is 30 minutes from where I live right now, and I usually go there for hybrid fishing. I've never gone for bass fishing, but I think there's a campsite somewhere. It's in the middle of the kind of north of the metroplex between Fort Worth and Dallas. So it's a city lake.
Yeah,
if that means anything. So congrats on that, man. It's gonna be awesome. Go ahead.
Hopefully there's a campsite there, because that may be what I do. Because I know through the state championship, 10 of us qualified for that year. But I know a lot of those guys, they've been fishing these tournaments for years. I'm kind of like the newbie. I know they'll be all hanging out, like, probably stay together. I just feel like I'd be a little more comfortable going in there, just kind of, cruising and just staying at like a little campsite or something like that. Kind of keep to myself, focus on the tournament, because I'm not sure what a payday in a tournament like that will be, but I imagine it'd probably be quite a bit. So being there with no distractions and just fishing it, staying at a little campsite, and then calling my wife and kids, like, on video chat or something, and talking to them. I think that's probably more than likely what I'll end up doing, something like that.
Yeah, the only thing I will say about the campsite is it's a city lake.
Yeah.
To me, there's a difference when you go into these rural lakes where it's just like nice, beautiful, more isolated. This is like you're going to be in the, in the middle of just a suburban area next to each other. So you can get a little crazy at night. So, I mean, but it's going to be interesting. I know there's a lot of things being said about Lake Louisville. Not my preferred lake here in Fort Worth and Dallas to go fishing for bass, but we'll see what happens, man. I'm sure there's a reason why Steve Owens chose that lake, and I know there's a lot of mixed feelings about it, but we'll see, man. We'll see. Maybe it's gonna be an awesome lake.
All we can do is go fish it, right?
All you can do is go fish it. That's interesting. Now, I thought the last Tennessee event on 2020 was the last event that you can qualify, but I guess they changed it maybe because of the whole COVID-19 and being pushed back to July.
I'm not sure about that. I thought the last one that you could qualify on was I think it's Pickwick. Actually, somebody called me yesterday and asked if I was fishing the Pickwick event, and asked if I was going to go down there. But I think it's like 6 hours from here or something, which I've already qualified. So I'm not even sure. I'm more than likely I probably won't go fish that. And I believe it's Pickwick. I think that's what it was.
Cool. They might have changed that, because I remember when Tennessee had their last Bass Nation event on 2020, their big selling point was, this is your last chance to qualify for the Bassmaster Classic in 2021. So they might have changed it, I'm sure with the whole everything moving from March to July. That's probably what happened.
As far as I know, I actually qualified for that through the state championship from 2020. So
okay.
Yeah, so just the winning the Tennessee Bass Nation event on Cherokee, I was already qualified.
Okay.
Hey, actually, I don't know if that'll bump down. So maybe whoever, like the top 20 qualify. So maybe whoever finished in 21st may feel that 20th. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. That's usually how they do it, but I'm not quite sure on that.
That may be how it goes. Since I was already qualified, I won that one. Maybe like the 21st person may qualify for that, championship. So
I would have thought you would have qualified for the 2022 Bassmaster Classic, kayak event. That's what I thought. You 1 year, you whatever you do on 2021, as far as Bad Nation qualifies you for 2022.
Yeah. Maybe, hopefully, because maybe
they qualified for one already.
And then qualified for the other one. I've got guys I talk to that know so much about this stuff. Like they know when this event is. I qualified for this. I'm so new. Like I get confused. Like I had somebody who's like, "You qualified for this event?" I did, really? Let me check. I'll send you the link to it. So I'm still new to it. I'm still learning. So
cool, man. Well, I mean, you're learning pretty fast. Your learning curve is really sharp there. So congratulations on that, man.
everything I do, I just try to stay after it. So
that's awesome. Well, Josh, thank you so much for joining our podcast. We do appreciate it. It's an honor to have you. Again, congratulations on your big win. Before I let you go, though, anybody you want to thank, sponsors, family members?
Don't have any sponsors, but just thanks for, my wife who lets me go fishing all the time.
Don't let you bring a paycheck.
My buddies who, I fish with, we all help each other out. My buddy Matt and my buddy Eric over at Cast to Catch, my cousin Bubba, we always run around in his jet boats and stuff like that. So that helps us learn a lot, and, all the guys at Tin Cat, Steve Owens, at the, Tennessee Bass Nation, thanks to all those guys. So, yeah. But hopefully I'll pick up some sponsors eventually one of these days. I'll get a little bit better, maybe grab a few.
Before I let you go, one quick question. Anything else that you feel like you want to work on to take you to the next level?
I want to get a little more used to, I guess it's not really like a technique or anything, but just so many people travel, they're so used to just going here and going there and traveling all across the country. I think maybe next year I want to maybe look into branching out a little bit more, going and fishing like maybe a Hobie event somewhere in a different state, or just getting used to stepping out of my comfort zone just a little bit more and fishing something, where we got to drive 7 or 8 hours, 10 hours, like Texas. That'll probably be my first one, kind of stepping out of my comfort zone, heading down to Texas and fishing, against the best anglers in the entire country. So I think that's it right there. Just stepping out of my comfort zone and fishing some bigger tournaments. So.
Yeah, definitely, man. So, hey, hope I catch you over here when you're coming. I'm not taking part in the Bass Master Classic, but I'm sure I'll be hanging around there. I'll meet you when you come back over here, man.
Yeah, if you're 30 minutes down the road.
Oh, yeah, it's really close. It's a nice lake. It's a beautiful lake. So we'll see, man. It might be one of the best, turnouts and one of the most exciting events in the calendar. So
no matter what, I'm going to go, and you already know somebody's going to find some good fish. So
oh yeah,
they always do.
Well, thanks again, Josh, for joining us. Hope you have a great day. Have a great week. For those out there listening, thank you for joining us. And if you made it this far, we do appreciate it. Always keep in mind when you're out on the water, please stay safe. Take the necessary precautions to make sure you make it back home to your loved ones. This has been the Bass, Kayak, and Beers Network, presented by Douglas Outdoors. Go check them out, douglasoutdoors.com. Have a great day. Have a great week. Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to another killer episode on Paddle and Fin. Don't forget to go check out our website at paddle.and-fin.com. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel at Paddle and Fin. If you got a question, comment, want to hear from a future guest on a future episode, feel free to email us at paddle.and-fin@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Paddle and Fin on Facebook and Instagram. Shout out to our show supporters, Angler. The Angler button and app just makes for a better time on the water and creates a virtual logbook for every fishing outing out on the water. Shout out to Rocktown Adventures, located in Northern Illinois, for all your kayaking, camping, and hiking needs. Shout out to Jig Masters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to jigmasters.com